And we're live.
Yes,
Welcome
yes,
back.
yes. What's up?
Welcome back, everybody. It's been a little bit. Chris and I have been, well, I'll say it. I've been lazy, but glad to be back.
Heck
Chris
yeah.
is going to blame it on me anyway, so it's
Well,
definitely my
way
fault.
to head it off at the pass.
All right. You're going to be like, it's all you. So we are here tonight to entertain you and to argue with each other and also introduce you guys. If you don't know her yet, Melissa, the Unlikely Hiker, is going to be our guest tonight. So excited about that.
Yep.
Pick her brain. She is, if you guys don't know, she is from more like upstate New York, if I'm correct. I'm sure she'll tell us exactly where she's from, but I really don't know that much about that part of the country. So be interesting to get her
it's a dark
expertise on that.
It's
Is it dark?
Very dark. No, I don't know. I
You
don't
know,
know either.
It is actually kind of dark. Years ago when I started driving a truck, I'd never been up to the Northeast. And I remember I was like somewhere up like Connecticut or Massachusetts, something like that. It's like 4:30 and it was wintertime. It's like 4:30 in the afternoon and it's getting dark.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that would drive me nuts.
Yeah.
So
kind of lack
dark,
of vitamin
dark
D.
part of the world.
Yeah.
Dark part of the world. Anyways, who all we got in the chat tonight? Let's say hello to the chat. Let's see. Tangent. We got Tony,
Nicole, Mike King. Mike King. What's up, Mike?
Howdy, Mike. Cool. So I'm sure others would join.
We got the faithful few. I'm going to borrow that from DMS.
You can't take that from DMS. Speaking of DMS, have you seen their videos on the Adventure Hiking Trail?
Oh yeah,
they got her good, man.
I did. They got it done, and I was real proud of them. I actually missed their live stream, and I made a comment. You see that comment? I said, sorry, I missed your live stream. I was playing ping pong.
Hey, that's fair, right? Right. I missed their live stream as well, but I did see all their videos, and props to them because if you think about it, that's a pretty tough trail. You know what I mean? For full size adults like you and I, imagine like Mr. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, what is he? 6, 7 years old now? Little bitty dude. And
he
how many steps to R1 does he take? 1.5, 2. So, you know.
Yeah.
Troopers, man, troopers. I don't know that my kids would have done that at that age. So props to them. Props to Mark for getting them out there.
Yeah, so. Really good video. Really good finish. It's better than Cats. I'd see it again and again.
Yeah, I wish I took the time to edit like Mark does. Props to him too. I'm always amazed his editing is. It's really good. He actually tries.
He does. And see,
that's the difference between him and I.
Right. And our trip video from this weekend coming out because we're going to LBL is I'm still deciding if I'm going to make one. I've got some sponsor things I have to do, but I don't know if I'm going to make one. When I try, I can do the things that Mark does. It's just I never try.
Oh, I hope that was your internet, not mine. You just froze.
It's not mine. Mine's fiber optic, bro. I'm good.
Did you catch it? Did you catch it from Jeremy? Is that what happened?
No, you're the one that's had problems before, not me.
Did you catch the skips?
So what?
It's just... I said, did you catch the skips? From Jeremy?
Yeah.
Right. He's not here right now. We can pick on him.
We can pick on him, right?
LBL trip this weekend too. So videos to come.
It's gonna rain the whole time. We're gonna be in mud. Dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria. Okay, let's get to our wonderful guest. So you want to introduce her and I'll bring her in?
Her name is Melissa. You know her as the Unlikely Hiker. Bring her on in.
Boom. What's up?
What's up?
Hey.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you all?
We are
wet.
We are I don't want to hear about that.
So you're getting in the rain all the way up there as well, correct?
Big time.
Yeah.
Tomorrow's going to be worse.
So does that make the snow, because you do, for those of you who don't know, she does ski patrol. Does that make the snow slicker?
Well, little known fact, skiing in the rain is actually really good conditions because the snow is softer and very carvable. Today it was just really, really soaking wet. But we lost our snow a couple times over. They did manage to bang out a bunch of snow last week when we had single digit temps because we had the most amazing snowmaking team I've ever seen. For
how
small
How
mountain.
much snow do they end up making? Like,
Last,
as
oh
far
my
as
God,
cubic-
last week it was like 120 million gallons they
Wow.
went through. We have
Holy,
a couple of yeah, no, it was mind blowing. I just read it on the website this morning, so sorry I don't remember the
wow,
exact total, but yeah,
that
mind
is
blowing
insane.
what they did.
One thing I've never done. I've never snow skied or
I got free
snowboarded.
tickets if you want to come out.
I'll just drive right up.
I
Yeah,
want to learn.
I
to
don't have any
snowboard.
excuses. I don't have
Right.
excuses. You drive down for the Red River Gorge meetup, so
I
we don't
did.
have any excuses, do we?
That would be no.
I want to learn. I want to learn to snowboard. I know your son snowboards, right?
Yep, my youngest does.
Yeah,
Oh, actually, both my sons do.
yeah. I would love to learn that. Skiing, I'm not so keen on, but yeah, I'd love to learn that.
I tried once.
Is that why you have an affinity for skiing because you did try it once, as I remember, and I heard it in a video of yours. You were like making fun of your kid for snowboarding.
I mean, yeah, there's a lot to make fun of sometimes, but my youngest is actually pretty good. My oldest, he's a little less skilled.
Oh,
But
is he?
I've been skiing since I was 14, and I started hiking, gosh, 17, 18.
Wow.
So
Well, let's get into it. You do everything. Like everything. I went through your channel and I saw, the only thing I didn't see you do was knit. And I'm sure you know how to knit.
I know how to make those pot holders on the pot holder loom.
The macrame.
It's just a loom. I don't know.
Yeah.
I started doing that again in my spare time.
So I'm going to let Brian ask his questions first, but
Me?
yeah, I'm going to let you talk this time.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, like Chris was saying,
to show up, so I guess I oughta.
you ought to let me say something. But yeah, like Chris was saying, going through your channel, I try to catch. It's always sort of hard. We know so many people anymore. It's hard to catch everybody's. But I didn't know. I started scrolling back through it because you can really get a feel for what the person is into when you go through their older videos. And I saw something. So, do you still have the camper? You had the Geo camper?
I do. So low key, I don't really talk about this, but I live in it here at the mountain 4 days a week.
Nice.
Really?
See?
Yeah. It's not something I really discuss. They allow me to do it out of the goodness of their heart. It's not frowned upon, but.
So
Right.
you're in your 4th year of owning it, though, right?
Oh, more than that, I think. It's a 2019, and I got it in 2018.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
So we're coming up on 5.5 years I've owned it. So 6 years in July.
And you've done some things to it. I watched some of your mods to it. You put a black splash on it, or
A couple things.
Yeah.
It needs a lot right now. Just the stock trailer, a lot of things are rusting and kind of starting to go on it. So
how do you keep it? How do you stay warm in it?
propane heat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very
Nice.
cool. Very cool.
Yeah, that was one thing I did not know that you even had a camper. I
Yeah,
knew
we
you
didn't
hiked
know.
and did all this other crazy stuff, but yeah.
I
Like said,
actually
you go
bought
back.
that trailer to make camping accessible for my daughter. She's disabled.
Okay.
So I spent
Well, that makes it.
$14,000 to take my daughter camping, and she does like it. So
She seems though. I mean, I don't know how you want to get into this at all, but she seems very high functioning.
she's not. She's like a 2 to 3 year old,
Really?
but she's slow. She's not stupid.
Yeah.
Right.
No, she's a fun kid. She
Yeah.
can do a lot, but she is what she is. I love her for who she is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Sorry, Brian. Go ahead.
You gonna let me talk, Chris? Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So, so just from what I know about you, a few times we've met, like at the Red River Gorge meetups and stuff, and just from watching your channel. So you're from, is it upstate, kind of northeast New York? Is my geography correct in that?
We call it upstate New York. Yeah, northeast, just north of Albany.
Okay. Okay. So is that part of, like I said, I don't know anything about New York State, toward the Adirondacks, or we up in that area?
The southernmost portion of the Adirondacks, I'm about 40 minutes from. So the High Peaks area, where all the the fun stuff is, it's about an hour and a half, 2 hour drive, depending on where I'm going. Could be as much as 3 hours.
Okay, so that's still not too bad. I mean, traveling around
No,
to
it's
get
not
to
too bad at
places up
all.
here.
Because
Yeah,
I drive to
it's kind of like
Kentucky. So.
yeah, we got like for me the gorge is 2.5 hours. Kentucky, what's that take you? Probably
Yeah, so
12.
2.5 hours would kind of be the average that I'm in the car getting to the Adirondacks.
Yeah, a little farther Kentucky. Yeah, like I said, I don't know much about New York is one of those places I haven't really gotten to yet. I've driven across it a few times. I used to be an over road truck driver, been all over it, but never really the northeast side of it. So Adirondacks, it's just like on the bucket list one day to get up there. So I'll ask you as the expert, if you were if somebody came to you and said, "Hey, I want to go to the Adirondacks for the very first time," where's somewhere that you would say, "All right, if you come up here, this is one of those places you have to see."
I mean, that's a loaded question because I'm going to ask a bunch of leading questions up to that to determine what kind of hiker they are and what they've already hiked before I recommend something, because
Okay.
it in my opinion, from what I've hiked so far, like New Hampshire is even more rugged, but the Adirondacks are in fact very rugged and not to be taken lightly. People get in trouble all the time. So when people do ask me that question, and they ask frequently, I do try and match the individual to an Adirondack hike that they will get that Adirondack experience without pushing them over the edge.
So how about
Very
okay,
good.
so that's fair. So asking for a friend, let's say a big husky fellow
Mhm.
wanted to do a summit on the Adirondacks. And
Or
again, asking for a friend. This is not for me.
would this friend be looking for a high peak?
Yes,
Okay, I
the
would
friend would.
say Cascade or Cascade and Porter, depending on how adventurous that person is.
Right.
So recently they changed the trailhead to Cascade. It used to be like 5-ish miles round trip. But due to trail erosion, they moved the trailhead, or at least they're in the process of it. So it's a little bit longer, but regardless, it's still one of the easier high peaks without straining somebody too much.
Yeah.
Some people
What if my husky friend had poor judgment? Would you recommend something less ambitious?
if your friend has poor judgment, but you're looking for a true Adirondack experience, I mean, Hurricane is a fabulous mountain. But you may as well hike Cascade at that point. Bear Den over on the side of Whiteface, I really do love. You get really gorgeous views of Whiteface. I do love that hike, especially in the fall. If you want to stay kind of in the heart of the Adirondacks, Mount Van Hovenberg is not a high peak. That is gorgeous, and it's super easy. Anybody can hike that, literally.
Yeah. So I will tell my friends. So
Tell your friend Chris.
yeah.
And you start at the Olympic Center, and there's like a whole I don't know, there's like a whole huge building. There's all kinds, you can buy stuff in there. It's gorgeous. It's where they have the words are hard. It's been like a 12-hour day. The bobsled and everything.
Oh, nice.
Got all that there. You can do the bobsled any time of year.
Ooh, that's like a
Awesome.
bucket list. That's like a bucket
Lake
list.
Placid, I'm
For my
telling you.
friend.
You need
Does
to go
your
to Lake
friend want to
Placid.
do that?
It's beautiful up there. It's a lot to do.
So I commend you on that answer, because you could have just started spouting off anywhere, and that
That's a good
speaks to
answer.
your experience. Yeah, that speaks of your experience, because a lot of people are like, hey man, if I go down to the Smoky Mountains, which are closer to us, where can I go? I could start spitting off like, well, I've heard of this trail, that trail, but anybody that's listening or watching this or just get into backpacking, do your research on that stuff, because I don't know anything about the Adirondack Mountains. I've seen pictures; it looks beautiful, but I don't know the ruggedness. I don't know the length of the trails. I don't know anything about it. I'm an experienced hiker around here, but when you go off to other places, like ask the locals, look for channels like yours who, you live up that way. You're gonna have some videos on that, and do your research. So I commend you on the answer. That was great.
Yeah, it is slightly ridiculous though when people get into trouble, because I've seen people that live out west that come and the Adirondacks kick their rear end.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, we
Yeah.
had no idea. My idea of what a maintained trail looks like is just not most people's, unless
Right.
you live in the Northeast. And even then, like Maine's got some they're rugged trails, but they're in kind of better shape-ish than the Adirondacks.
Have you ever hiked in the Berkshires?
That's where I'm at right now.
You're in the Berkshires right now?
Yep. Yeah, I have hiked in the Berkshires. They're gorgeous. Last year, I didn't vlog it. I did the Taconic Crest Trail over, what was it, Memorial Day weekend with Ruby. And it's beautiful. It's very similar to the Catskills. I've also done the Catskill 35. Yeah, they're gorgeous. Small mountains, but again, it should be a bucket list thing. This whole area is beautiful.
I've wanted to get to the Berkshires for fall, like for the fall colors, because I've heard and I've seen a few channels. One of the channels I watch is called Trout and Coffee, and this kid. He does a great job showing the colors in the Berkshires. And ever since I saw one of his videos, I've been wanting to get up there. And so that's good that there's hikes up there that are, that could be done.
Could be if your friend needs
every level in the Berkshires, from super, super easy, just little woods trails that are flat to things that do have a little bit more elevation.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Jeremy said the Adirondacks is the hardest multi-day hike he's ever done. So,
what'd you do?
What'd you do, Jeremy? Throw it up in the comments.
Yeah, Jeremy, what'd you do?
And if any of you guys in the
I tried to do the Great Range Traverse 3 times and I've yet to make it. I think the only way I'm ever going to succeed in that is I need to go with people that are a little bit younger than me or more fit than me, who can also take my pack if I need it.
That's why I hike with Brian.
Yeah, like 25 miles through the Adirondacks. Like that's
Insanity.
You have to do it as like an overnight hike as well.
Yeah, definitely. If anybody has comments, questions for Melissa, throw them up in the comments.
I'll take comments.
All caps, that way we see them. Comments or questions, right?
Yeah.
I want to ask you a few. So I'm going to talk a little bit about your background. First of all, I watched your first video filmed on an iPhone 7 Plus. What's that about?
What?
That you did your first video on an iPhone 7 Plus 5 years ago.
Now I still record on a phone.
Yeah, you've updated, I hope, right?
No, I'm still rocking the 7 Plus.
No, you're not.
This is a 14.
Okay.
It's just easy. I already have it in my pocket. I don't have to carry anything else.
So your very first video that you made was going down the hill, going down skiing, right? It was like I
don't remember it. Whatever
I think it was
cringy. If you go anything past 3 years ago, it's also cringy, and then up until last year is kind of cringy.
Well, the reason I'm asking that is because did you know after you filmed your first video that you were going to have a YouTube channel, or did you not even consider it yet?
No, I really didn't. And so the reason the YouTube channel started originally was to document things that I did, so that my kids, but especially my daughter, could see the things that I do that she can't get out there and see. And she knows, she'll tell you, Mom hikes in the mountains. She'll point at mountains. Just, did you hike those? And I'm like, no, honey, I didn't, or yeah, I did.
Yeah.
So that's where it started. And then when I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia, I was like, I don't know, maybe I can help somebody else, because when I was in the pit of despair, there wasn't a ton of resources or other people out there like me.
And your doctor had told you to move, right?
Yeah.
That was the advice that kind of got you started.
Yeah. It was the last thing I wanted to do too.
Well, right, because when you have fibromyalgia, you just want to stay still because everything hurts.
That's also why I'm the laziest hiker around. Because I'm like, even here, it's like I have to walk uphill to get to the chairlift, and I'm like, oh dear God, my backpack does not weigh as much as my patrol pack and my patrol jacket.
I bet.
So,
here's Jeremy's answer.
Yeah, that's a classic hike. Haystack is absolutely it's in my top 3 for Adirondack hikes. Gothics, I've done a bunch of times. Wolf Jaws, if I never see them again, I won't be sad. I have hiked and failed and completed the Wolf Jaws, upper and lower, more times than any other Adirondack mountain. They are challenging.
So so let's talk about all the things that you do. You are a nurse. You do ski patrol.
Yep.
You backpack hike. You play hockey. What's that about?
So I learned to play hockey in my 40s. I did have to stop, unfortunately, because I tore everything in my shoulder. So I had What'd they do? Bicep tendon and rotator cuff repair.
Yeah. What was your position in hockey?
What do you think it was? If you had to guess, what would you say?
I would say forward or something like that.
I was a goon.
You were a goon.
Yeah.
Really?
Great defense.
All right. I thought you'd be more offense, but okay.
I have asthma, so that wasn't going to work for me. That originally is where they put me.
Gotcha. And did you enjoy that position?
I did. I loved it.
And how many fights did you get in?
Well, since I was on a women's team, not very many, but like I can't say you can't roughhouse with other female hockey players, but I did prefer the co-ed team.
Yeah. You could stick check though. I mean, you could do a little bit of that.
Right? She tricked me, and it's like, dude, we're playing hockey. Like, what are you talking about?
Right. Okay, Brian, you're up. We'll go back and forth.
You kind of touched into the ski patroller. So what is, I mean, I have my thoughts of like what you probably do, and it's probably what I think is probably pretty glamorous. Like you ski around, check everybody out, make sure everybody's safe. But like, so what is like the day in the life of an average day of a ski patroller? It's probably not near as glamorous as we think.
I mean, one day I was off the side of a trail in a ditch, trying to construct a lid out of foam to cover this tub that went over like the piping for snow guns. We flag rope. We dig ditches when there's drainage issues. That's done by hand into frozen ground. We reunite lost parents with lost children. Yeah, when somebody gets hurt, we help also with that. We might help with the lifts. I mean, it's a lot of grunt work. It is really physical. And I knew that going into it this year. This is the first year that I've done full-time paid patrol. It's exhausting. We do a little bit of everything. Yeah. And also we're just a presence on the mountain. Help somebody get into their skis a couple times today, whatever.
Yeah. That's kind of what I figured you probably did. I mean, because the first thing you think, oh, she probably skis around. It's like, hey, how you doing? Or helps, like you said, parents and their children get together. But I'm sure there's a lot of, like you was explaining there, a lot of grunt work and hard days. So
yeah,
interesting. All right, so
dead air.
So for getting into the hiking part, I've seen like the Trans Catalina Trail. How is that? Because I've just recently kind of looked into what that trail was. I heard about it forever. I didn't even know where it was at. I come to find out it's an island off the coast of off of California. I had no idea. But how was that trail? Because it sounds like it's kind of island hopping, and from what I've read, there's like 5 campgrounds you can stay at, or
so all the campsites you have to reserve. Yeah. And Dave from Dave Off Grid, he made the reservations as soon as they opened up. I think it was 6 months prior, and he had planned that. It was epic. You go, really from one side of the island. We started in Avalon, and then we go through a few campsites. You end up in 2 harbors, and then we continued on a big loop. What was it? 5 nights?
Yeah.
Full exposure, by the way.
5 days. Oh yeah.
There's no trees.
I was cooking, absolutely cooking. Everyone was like, "Oh, it's steep," and there's not much in the way of switchbacks on Catalina, but for me, that was not really a big deal. But oh dear God, the searing heat.
Yeah. When
we got to the airport, the Catalina airport, I was on the verge of heat stroke, and I knew it. My face was just scarlet. I had stopped sweating. I mean, I knew. I was like, I'm in trouble.
So what about water sources? You had to carry a lot of water, didn't you?
Yeah. I mean, there was a couple water sources, but the mileage that we were doing, I think the longest day was 11 miles.
Yeah.
And the rest of them, like there was days we did like 5 or 6. So yeah, you're just carrying a couple liters of water. It wasn't a big deal. And then the campsites, when you reserve them, you let them know. Some of them have water, and if they don't, you can buy water to have it like delivered for you.
That's nice.
Why is that?
Because I looked at it, I was like, well, that's only 38.5 miles, but I thought it's not the mileage that gets you. It's probably the terrain and the exposure and the weather could be a huge factor in that. So
It rained twice
that
while we were there.
really
Rain from upstate New York to California.
We know how
that's
that
doing
is.
something. Yeah, Chris and I can do that. There's
can do
very few of us that have the capabilities, and welcome to the club.
Yeah.
I can't let this comment go by.
Yeah, if you could help me out with that, because I just can't help myself.
You can always count on Tony.
Stop putting it in a little cone.
It always looks so great, but I always regret it, you know?
Yeah.
Fun fact, you don't want to eat the snow that we make here because it comes out of a pond.
Oh, God, yeah.
Ooh.
It's like frozen giardia.
Kind of. So I have to remind the little kids, I'm like, yeah, you don't want to eat that.
Yeah.
Wow. So, you've hiked a lot around locally. You've hiked the Collegiate West, right? The Trans Catalina. What's on your bucket list of hikes? Do you have any ambitions to do like through hikes one day, the long trails, or what's on your list?
Yeah. I mean, I did not get to do the entire collegiate loop when I was out in Colorado. I desperately want to do that. It just wasn't going to work out the last time I was out there. So that's definitely something. Wind River Range is probably at the top of my list. I'm just unwilling to do that solo. I'll go back to Colorado solo. That's fine. There's a lot of places I would go. The winds, not so much. This year, if I can make it happen, the Northville Placid Trail, which oddly goes between Northville and Lake Placid in upstate New York. I think it's about 127 miles. I would like to do that. If I can't do it in one shot, I'll do it in 2 sections. I would not mind doing the long trail. Yeah. In my perfect dream world, the Pacific Crest Trail. I just don't know if I can make that happen before. I hate to say this because I feel like I'm going to get crap for it, but before I'm too old. And I know a lot of people that are older, in fact, hike long trails. I'd love to do the Colorado Trail. I've got my mother, I've got my daughter, I've got a lot of people that count on me and very little money. So I think shorter long trails are probably going to be the way to go for me. We'll see.
Yeah.
Understandable. Yeah, that's understandable.
Yeah. And that the whole, I have that fear sometimes too, as I get older and older. I'm like, man, I want to do it before I get too old. But then like the last 2 years of section hiking the AT, I see a lot of college kids and are right out of college, that age. Very few around my age. I'm almost 50. And then I saw a lot this past year in 2023, a lot of people who were in the early to mid 60s. They just retired and are like, hey, I retired. I'm out doing it. So, I don't know. It's, there's hope, I guess, I always worried about, can I do it when I retire? So,
and those people that you run into, they're the same people that also give me hope that one day maybe I can have my shining moment.
It's kind of why I shifted from doing anything like a long trail to summits, because summits, if you plan for that, you can that's more achievable for my fitness level right now. But long trails, I've just never been a long trail guy, but yeah, it's so hats off to you for that.
Yeah, that's one of the things, like I said, it gives me hope. It's like I've seen so many people out there this year, and I've always been, oh man, I hope I can do it when I get older, when I can finally retire, because right now I can't leave my career and we all get caught up in our lives. So
yeah, we're on borrowed time for this live stream.
For sure.
I had to guilt him into it.
Sometimes you do. I'm just like, look, man, I'm so busy. It's just, All right. So, was it last year? The Nemo Tensor Extreme Condition came out.
Yeah.
Was it last year it came out? And I knew you got that on an early release.
I did.
And I know you definitely camp in some cold weather up there where you're at. So I'm kind of curious, how have you had that out and how has that performed?
I have not had it out in like the single digits last week. So here's the conundrum that I have. I actually slept on it last night. I realized it fits perfectly in the trailer because I have it like in 1-person mode right now. So if I go camping and let's say it's 5 degrees out and I want to try it out, I have to bring the dog with me.
Mm.
And sadly, like it's something to think about. If I leave her in the house and camp in the backyard, she'll start barking at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
So I have like all of these weird things going on that I have to kind of figure out how to get around. Next week, it's going to get back into the single digits. So I think I'm going to end up leaving the dog home and I'll just use the tensor anyway. Or we were thinking about camping up at the top of the hill here. But in the meantime, I'm using it in the trailer and not turning the heat on at night. So I've had it down into like the mid 20s and it's fine. It's completely warm.
Yeah.
It's at least as warm as my old, what did I have? The Xtherm. I had the old style Xtherm. And I did sell that, so I can't really do a side by side. But it's pretty comfortable. It's not as comfortable as my Rapide, but it is very warm. And I was using that with a 35-degree sleeping bag, not a quilt, but a bag.
Oh, wow.
And I was still
Yeah, I was curious about it because
but
yeah, I've got the regular tensor and just the regular insulated, and I've had that down to 20, 15 degrees. Well, actually, this year on the AT, it got 12 down to 12 degrees. I was never cold. And I know Justin from It's Good in the Woods, he just did a video where he slept out with no tent or nothing. And he's got the one that's in between the insulated and the extreme condition. I can't remember what they call it.
Xped.
Yeah. No, it's a tensor, but it's like
I think it's all season.
It might be the all season or something
all
like
condition, something. Yeah, I don't remember.
Something like that. Yeah, but it's kind of in between the extreme. And like it was 8 degrees and he was sleeping on the snow with it. He did have a Z-Light underneath of it to protect it. But he was like, man, I was in a 0-degree bag and on that, and he was toasty warm. So I was like, that extreme condition, I bet that thing's got to be good for like negative temperatures.
I'm sure that it is.
I don't know what it's rated at.
The coldest I've camped is negative 20. And I had my Xtherm on top of a closed cell foam pad, and I was sleeping right on top of the snow under a tarp, and I was fine. And I have a negative 20 bag.
A negative 20 bag?
Yeah.
That's cold. That's cold.
I mean, if it's negative 20 out, like, I was wearing like puffy pants and a puffy jacket. I get chilly. I don't like being cold. Weird that I work.
I'm with you. Right now. I'm with you. So while we're on the topic of gear, I know I have a favorite piece of gear that if you ask me what's your favorite piece of gear, I could tell you right out exactly what it is. So do you have that one piece of gear that every time you go? Exactly. It's what it is. My cooler cloth.
Yeah, cooler cloth.
So,
That's your
so do you have that one piece of gear that you just love taking out, that it's performed well for you?
It's a weird piece of gear. It's my full-size pack towel. That thing has come on so many trips with me. It's good as a blanket, something to sit on, as a towel. It saved my life in Colorado. I've used it as a pillowcase, a million things. It just comes with me everywhere.
And who makes it?
I think it's by Pack Towel. It's a
actual pack towel.
It's green. I always have it. It's always in my pack. But if I had to pick something that was a little less strange, I would probably say my ULA pack, the ULA circuit. I love that pack.
See, for me, it's my Z packs, but the towel is what I love. That's just one of those things that, there's so much gear in this whole hobby that we do. I'd love hearing like, what's your favorite piece of gear? You never know what it's going to be. So pack towel, I love it. Cause like you said, so many different uses for it. It's not like some big fancy expensive thing, but it's that one thing that you love to take.
I saw that question. So when I was in Colorado, I guess it was a couple years ago, I got stuck above tree line. I was separated from my friend. She had to hike out. One of her dogs was sick. So I continued on, and I was at a pass, and I was at 12,300 feet, and I got pinned down by a storm. Temperature plummeted. It was snowing and raining and thundering and lightning. And I got really hypothermic. I was kind of crouched in a stand of trees, but I got soaked anyway. Had to get the tent up, and putting the tent up, everything inside of the tent got soaked. So that towel allowed me to get all of the water I'm sorry, the towel. What did I say? Towel. The towel allowed me to get all the water out of the tent so that I had a dry place, and I couldn't even blow up my sleeping pad. I just had to throw it in there because my hands were so numb and I was shivering violently. So had it not been for that one pack towel, a lot would have gone sideways.
That was day 4, wasn't it?
Something like that. Yeah.
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 I tell you, that's one of those things that I like. I guess from being in Indiana, Chris and I were in a pretty bad storm one time, but and it could have been life threatening, if a tornado would have actually hit exactly where we're at. But
Mhm.
you really have to go and think about where you're going back to. We're talking about the experience and asking people, because I don't know if you guys heard. There was a guy. He was a triple crowner. He had done a bunch of other trails. He was actually guiding up in the Whites,
Yeah, I
and he
heard
went
that.
out with some people he was guiding, and they all decided to turn back, and they're like, no, we're not going. Snow was getting waist deep. And he's like, I don't know if he just really thought he was good or trying to be cocky or whatever, but the guy got out there and he got into trouble and called, and they couldn't get to him in time. Guy lost his
Yeah.
life. And it goes to show, don't matter how much experience you have, that it's watching
Well,
where you're at.
sometimes experience is not your friend. And
Yeah.
there was a similar case the year that I finished the 46. This woman, she went and did McNaughton, which is like the 47th 46er.
Mhm.
Kind of, and she went up ill prepared. And this is somebody that just hiked all the 46 and probably had, winter experience in there like most of us did. And she was wearing the wrong gear, sneakers, sweatpants, just going up for a quick hike, as so many of us. It's like, I'm just going to run up, I'll be quick.
Mhm.
Yeah.
She lost her life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She never graduated with the rest of us in our 46er class. So
Hmm.
very sad. And a mom.
The storm that he was talking about that we've been in, that became what we used in that storm. The hammock gear, Dyneema, tarps became instantly our favorite piece of gear that year, because it kept us from getting soaked, and it kept us dry and everything. So I give it up to that, because I thought it was gonna fly off the tree, but it held us. It kept us dry, didn't it?
Wow.
Yeah, that's probably the scariest situation I've been in, far as storm wise. There's tornadoes, lightning, all that good stuff all the way around us. Our phones are going off, take shelter immediately. We're in the middle of the woods in our hammocks,
Yeah.
But I don't know. That's just back to like the experience. Like you said, that's a great quote. Like, experience can harm you, be hurt or harmful as well. Cause you get cocky, you think, I've been out here 100 times. I don't know how many miles I have hiking, but I come up to your neck of the woods, I'm lost. I would probably be that person that, if I didn't ask, something bad would happen to me. I don't know how to deal with that kind of cold. I'm not experienced in mountains. One thing that worries me is like the Whites. I'm trying to through hike there, or section hike the AT. One of these days, I hope to make it up there, and the Whites just scare me because I've heard so much and because I know so little. So
yeah,
I give it up to those guys
in July.
Yeah, I give it up to those guys who hike southbound on the AT, and they start like February. I'm like, why would you go through the Whites?
Yeah.
Was it 2 years ago or last year or 2 years ago that Aquaman or whatever his name was, he started up there. He was solo for like months because he started so early in the season. And I don't know. Good on him. He was prepared and got lucky too.
So, Melissa, that brings up a good point. When you came down to Kentucky for the first time, you're used to probably more rugged terrain, but did you have any anxiety about being at the gorge, about any of that you saw?
No, I wasn't like necessarily a huge fan of some of the trails. It just drops off on one side and you've got like a skinny trail.
Yeah.
And having Ruby next to me, that was really nerve-wracking, because in my head, she's just gonna like be Ruby and fall off the cliff. And as much as I joke that I'm gonna, if she falls, I'm not gonna go get her, I obviously would be devastated if my dog would be hurt. But as far as
Well, like Staircase or Hanson's, did that
Oh,
worry
God,
you
you
at
want to
all?
hear a really funny sort of story? So we get up. I didn't even know that I had just climbed up Indian Staircase, and Bridget's, she's high-fiving me. She's like, "You did it." I'm like, "That was it."
Oh
Yeah,
no.
but
Oh my God, I
I
am
was
such a jerk. But
I
I
was there on that hike, and Ruby was like up to the top. She was no
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So the little indentations didn't register when you were going up?
No, because I mean, I don't see like little indentations here. We've got granite, so you don't really
Right.
see a lot of that. But no, it didn't. I was just going up.
That's crazy.
No one said, "Oh, here we're at the Indian Staircase."
That's
No,
true.
no one said that.
Jason doesn't tell you much.
No. I knew that when we got to the ropes when we did Cloud Splitter a couple years ago.
Yeah.
That part
Yeah.
I knew.
That's
They
obvious.
didn't think Ruby was going to make it, and in my head, I'm like, as soon as I go up there, she's going to make it. Come,
Yeah.
heck or high water, she's coming up to me.
So I have 4 rapid fire questions for you.
Oh no!
Uh-oh. Rapid fire.
And
Here we
this
go.
will be the end of my questions, by the way, Brian. So you're gonna have to vamp after this. Was the original name for your channel going to be Melissa Hikes and All Things Outdoors?
No,
No. Why did you put that in your titles?
I don't know.
Because
You're asking me about videos. How old are my videos? Like, I don't even know.
5 years. 5 years.
So Melissa Hikes, like that did come up, and there's still like a Facebook page, but I sort of abandoned it because I couldn't figure out how to delete it.
Yeah.
But not yeah.
Okay.
I don't remember. Yeah, I mean Melissa Hikes maybe kinda, but
Yeah.
it was a little too generic.
Well, okay. Is the French Louis Loop still your favorite trail?
I love that trail.
Okay.
I really do.
Have you ever, and this question comes in via text, by the way, from Steve from Adventure Outdoors. He writes, ask her if she's ever had a Bigfoot encounter.
Okay.
There you go.
So I can't say what encounter I had. It was April, and so I had another Pyrenees before Finley, and his name was Murphy. And Murphy and I went and we did a hike in the Adirondacks. So we hiked up. It was only like a mile to this lean-to, and there was still a lot of snow on the ground, kind of icy in some spots. And I hiked up 2 separate backpacks because I had like all kinds of food. We're just going up, chilling. This is the 2 of us for the weekend. And we get up there, and Pyrenees, they're guard dogs. So they're paying attention to what's going on. I'm hanging out in the lean-to. The sun's starting to go down. I'm just enjoying myself, eating tuna fish and guacamole like everyone should absolutely do in a lean-to. Don't. And Murphy starts losing his marbles. So like Cujo, I mean, he has lost his mind. He is going to kill something. And I can hear something kind of like behind the lean-to. And if you've been up in the Adirondacks, there's a lot of places the trees are just too thick. Like you can't get back there. It's hard to push through. You can't really see anything. And he was losing his mind in such a way. And in the spring, you have to watch out for bears because they come out of hibernation and they're hungry. And like I said, I was eating food I should not have been eating in a lean-to. And that thing, I don't know what it was. I had to make a split-second decision, and me and the dog and 2 backpacks, one on the back, one on the front, had to put micro spikes on to hike out as the sun was going down. Whatever it was followed us down the whole trail, not the whole trail, but like half of it. I could hear it in the woods. Now, the trees were so thick that I could not see through them.
Yeah.
So it would be really weird that a bear was back there, because bears, although they don't make a ton of noise, they're afraid of people. They're not going to follow you.
Right.
Even if there's food, like they'll confront you, but usually what you see is the butt end of a bear. To this day, I don't know what was in the woods. So that's my maybe answer.
Awesome. Awesome.
Chris, any Bigfoot encounters?
No, I don't.
You don't believe?
No.
I want to believe.
He didn't believe in me either. What would you change about your Forerunner setup 7 months later?
Ooh.
Oh, you took my question. That's where I was going to go with the Forerunner, since you both are Forerunner owners now.
There is something very specific that I would do differently. So what year do you have? You got
I have a 2019.
Okay, so me too. So why they don't have fold flat seats is still a sore spot with me. So what I want to do is I actually want to build out something that I can leave in the car, maybe that doesn't have as much height so that I can sit up in the back better. I'd lose a little bit of storage under that back part, but if I could just do a little bit of space in the back seat side and then a little bit more on the back end, I think that would be a sweet spot.
Let me show you something.
As long as I could leave it.
Ta-da!
This is what I'm
leveling platform.
$49.
I know it's expensive.
Yeah,
but see how it takes that 3-inch rise away.
Yeah,
that's why I'm probably going to go with this.
but you could build something like that.
You could. You don't have to
you can
spend
build
this
it way
money.
cheaper.
Yeah,
A lot cheaper.
In fact, Pappy or Keith said he would build me something cheaper than this. But
does that fold up, or can you leave it in there?
You can leave it in there. Yeah,
okay.
you can. It gives you a little bit of storage under here for flat things, but that's the route I'm going. But
and like that one there, it looks like it does fold up. So if you put the back seats up, it looks like it would fold the middle and just fold up against the back.
Well, they're all different pieces. Like so there are 2 boards here and there's 2 runners right here.
Yep.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
In my head, I would build something out a little bit more space so that maybe I had 4 or 5 inches of storage underneath, but low enough that I can leave it in the car all the time, carpet it, and then that is just always living back there because Ruby also travels in the trunk. But then if I'm going someplace further, like Kentucky, I can take out the back seats, which I've done repeatedly, and then I can use the bed back there, and that does offer a ton of storage for traveling.
True.
So I'll be traveling with my son to see the solar eclipse in April. So we'll probably do a similar type setup, but for 2 people, the dog's going to have to sit in the front for that.
Where are you going to for the solar eclipse?
Only far enough to see it clearly. The last time we went to Western Nebraska.
My wife was telling me like last week, the town I live in here in Indiana is supposed to be the best spot in the whole country to watch it. I haven't looked it up, but she read some articles. Come on down, like with the other thousands of people, like they were talking about it in the city, like they're expecting in April like thousands like of people coming to our little town, and I think I don't even know what the population of my town is, maybe 4,000 something. It's small, but yeah, they're just like talking about thousands, and there's not going to be any food, and I'm like, well, fine, I'll just leave town and go hiking that weekend or something. I don't know, isn't it like April 8th or something? Over the
Adirondacks, so. Yeah. If I don't have to go far, I won't. Ethan wants to go to Cedar Point. Cedar Point's opening for the solar eclipse. And he's like, oh, we can see the eclipse and go on coasters. And I'm like, okay, that's great. But then we just have to go back to go on a different coaster that's opening later this year. So I was like, maybe not.
I was in the middle of nowhere in Nevada in 2017 for the last one that I saw. And it was like by Mexican Hat and all that area. And we
were right 30 miles east of the Wyoming border. We're supposed to be in Platt's the river, isn't it? That's not a town too. It was like a fly speck on a map. I don't remember, but it was central Nebraska, right off of 80.
Yeah. And
then we traveled a little bit further. That's weird that we were both in Nebraska for that.
No, I was in Nevada.
Oh, Nevada. I thought you said Nebraska. Sorry, I can't hear.
That's all right. Yeah, I was southeast Nevada, that corner. Okay.
What else you got? Something on the Forerunner though. If you're looking, have you heard of Nat Moran? Her channel. She lives out of her Forerunner full time. She used to have 3 dogs. One of them just passed last year, so she still has 2 big German Shepherds. She does have a rooftop tent, but she's also had a bunch of different builds where she's just built different beds and different platforms and stuff in the back. So you might, if you're looking for ideas, you might be able to scroll through hers too and figure it out because she lives in it. So
yeah,
she does really great videos.
I'm going to pull up her channel real quick so you can recognize it.
It's the Nat Moran, but she's had a ton of different builds on that Forerunner.
That's awesome.
I think now that she's just got Yeah. My wife has one, so
I'm
I know
sad.
exactly.
I'm like 50 miles shy of 100,000 miles on that thing.
Here she is.
All right.
She's been to one of our meetups before in our Indiana meetups.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, she lives full time, nomad life out of that Forerunner. I'm like I said, my wife has the same Forerunner as you guys have, and it's like I can't imagine living in that. It does have a lot more space than my Tacoma, but still,
I mean, I could see it, like, if you had to, or
yeah,
save money, whatever.
Yeah. Just have to par everything down,
Yeah.
yeah, minimal.
which
Say
is
the
what
least.
I'm going to do for this upcoming weekend. Is I'm my stuff is this much.
Hmm.
Yeah, we'll see.
Right.
Well, that's about all the questions I got. If you got anything else, Chris?
Let's give it to the chat first. Let's give, because I don't want them to think we're ignoring them. If you guys have a question for Melissa, or if you have a comment, or if you have an anecdote, put it all in caps.
Anecdote?
Yeah, a limerick maybe. Put it all in caps.
Limerick.
Limerick, a haiku.
Once was a
I
man
did
from
see a
Nantucket.
while back. Let me scroll the comments here.
Where you want?
There's one.
Sloan's
Beyond
Wilderness
formal.
Expeditions. That is correct. I saw somebody, I forget, they were in a tiny car and they took the front seat out and they were sleeping in between the front seat and the back seat, and they were just making it work in this tiny car.
Yeah,
1000%. Whatever you have is what you should use.
that's true. There are people living. Oh, here's Stu. Hey, Tim.
Hey man, what's up? Do you ever hike off trail?
Frequently, yes, actually. I started doing that in the Catskills. They're so, like game trails, here
Mm-hmm.
are a little bit rougher, but in the Catskills, there are a few hikes
Yeah.
that are actually true bushwhacks. So I had to create my own maps, and I just used a couple different formats, and then I plotted everything in CalTopo, loaded up my estimated path, and then I loosely followed it. And then doing the 46 with Ruby, I'm going to do a little bit more off-road. Yeah, I do that too. Off-trail hiking, bushwhacking in the Adirondacks, which is a little bit more challenging. So that's not easy. You're following more drainages and streams and stuff like that. So it's
Yeah.
So did you ever, like, when you first started doing all this, and the first time you went off trail, have you ever been anxious about being
I was
out there?
terrified.
Were you?
The first time I did it, I turned around and went back to the trail because I was having a panic attack.
I wondered about that. I wonder, and that happens to everybody, I think. But
yeah, but it's okay. I had to be more prepared,
Yeah.
and that's what I did.
Yeah.
Same when I first started hiking, I thought there's no way I'd do that. I don't know where I'm going. And the more I've got used to hiking and realizing, like, if you pay attention, you're probably going to pop out somewhere, at least around here anyways. And then getting a little more comfortable with it, learning how to read maps and stuff like that. It's definitely nerve wracking the first time you just start walking out in the woods and you're in the wilderness. Like, well,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cross my fingers.
my first solo backpacking trip was in the gorge on the wilderness side, and a bear ran through my camp the first time. And so I get
Break you
that.
in right.
Yeah. Trial by fire. Do you think it's and do you think it's worse, or do you think that women have it rougher with regards to being afraid, or not necessarily being afraid, but being anxious?
Tells us, so yeah, I think society tells us, you're a female, you can't handle that. If we can handle childbirth, I'm sorry, you can handle anything.
Right.
Agreed.
If I only had a dime, even a nickel, for all the times I heard from a guy on the trail, you shouldn't be out here by yourself. And one time I got so snarky, I was like, well, neither should you. Leave me alone.
Good for you.
He doesn't know.
I agree.
Yeah, that is a little bit of condescension in that question.
But women, they second guess themselves, and I'm here to tell people that they don't need to do that. This year, I hope to get my guiding license. I just need water safety, and I personally want to focus on women who want to get into the backcountry, but are a little scared to do so.
There's a lot of that. I know a few women who are currently seeking something like that,
Mhm.
Either to be a guide or to be a part of a group or something like
Mhm.
that. And I've heard that for so many times. Oh, so I have to. This is my fiance saying, "You go, girl."
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
You're what?
Anyway, so I'm pretty much a city boy. Basically, I applaud you guys for going out like you do. I got about 6 overnight. Well, come on, Brandon, come on out, man.
Yep.
We'll get you. We'll get you jumped into the gang. What am I trying to say? I don't know.
You're trying to say everyone's welcome. We're
There
nice.
you go.
Just
Yeah,
do it.
words. Yes, that's what I'm trying to
Words
say.
are hard. I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like you said, those guys, I always like am super conscious not to be that guy. Be like, oh, well, you shouldn't be out here. You're a woman. What a rude thing to say. I think what hit me one time was when I was on the AT and ran to a girl, started talking to her, and me and this other guy was hiking, and found out she's like the same age as my youngest daughter, and this and other, and she just left the house. She had plenty of backpacking experience, but she's out there by herself and just doing the AT. And I thought I would be a nervous wreck if my youngest daughter was out there doing that, but like I would also feel like that's such a great community that everybody's going to take care of her. I guess I don't know what I'm trying to say, but it's like
Yeah,
I
see,
applaud
words
it.
are
It's
hard
like,
for you too.
yeah, words are hard, but it's just like
Yeah.
I see more and more. I'm like, good, that's awesome. It's like,
Yeah, I agree.
It is terrifying. And there's been lots
it's
of
scared.
people terrified, but that's
Yeah.
okay.
The
It
needler
doesn't matter
has-
if you're a man or a woman. If it doesn't matter if you're a man or woman, there's scary parts of all of it. You're out there by
Yeah.
yourself in the woods, and anything could happen, and you're self-reliant. So it doesn't matter if you're a guy
the
or a girl.
needler. The needler has a comment here.
Oh, we're ignoring him. I can car camp alone, sleep in a truck stop alone, but worry about everything if my wife or daughter is with me. I'm sure I wouldn't want to be a woman by myself.
I'm so glad I put that up.
My
Ugh.
grandmother taught me a few tricks in creating space in between somebody you don't want to be around and the other direction. So
Yeah. Well, hey, I say it's great. I think that women have just as much fun as we do. In fact, I think on the last Red River Gorge, on the rest, there was a girls' hike, and that seemed to go very well, and there was no problems. You didn't need no man with you, you know.
nope. I went on the group hike, so I
Yeah.
did the girl hike.
But they went and did their own thing and came back. They were safe. They were fine. There was no problems.
Oh my gosh,
I
they
s-
went hiking by themselves and they
I know,
slept?
right? I stayed at camp and ate.
Shocker. Like women, or like Melissa said, women give childbirth. That hiking's not going to compare to that. I've never
Yeah.
given birth. I've been there when, hats off. I don't know part of
Women
that. I'm not tough enough.
Women are better at everything B. All right, Stoney. By the way, he's getting ready to do the AT, dude.
Nice.
Mhm. I know.
Which is crazy. And we got a few more comments here before we close. I tell skeptics that I'm the most dangerous thing out there at the moment. That usually shuts them up and hurries them on their way.
That's awesome.
Nice. Yep.
And then Sloan says, "Girls get it done."
We do.
Rosie the Riveter.
And we could hook up in the Adirondacks. Just reach out, let me know, by the way. Sloan's
And
Tony's got a good point. West for directions. Huge.
truer words have never been said. Yeah.
that's right. That's right.
Yes. He's smart enough to pay attention and learn from them. Yeah. Absolutely.
So, hey, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks
We
for having me.
through our research, we learned more about you, and you are coming to the next Gorge meetup, I hope,
Yes.
because that is the
Awesome.
highlight of my year. I know.
Yeah. No, it
Uh,
is. It makes my son sad though, because that's around his birthday. His
Yeah.
birthday is October 11th. But he's gonna be 24. And I'm like, Ethan, seriously.
You're a grown man.
Exactly. I did invite him. He would actually love hanging out with you guys.
Yeah.
Just doesn't know it yet.
Right.
It promises to be even bigger, and it promises to be even crazier. So that ought to be a good time. I do want to, before we go, I want everybody in the the chat here. If you're not subscribed to her, go over and give her some subscription love and like, share, and all that. She's making green screen videos now, which
Oh my Lord.
loving them. So go give her a subscription, and let's boost her up some more in the algorithm, because she really does do great stuff. And Melissa, thank you again for coming on.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
And is there, besides your YouTube channel, where else can people find you?
I am on Facebook also.
Okay.
Unlikely Hiker.
Okay.
Instagram also. I am absolutely tragic when it comes to social media. I also run the Jiminy Peak Ski Patrol Instagram, and I never post on it. So it's just, I'm not a huge fan of social media. So YouTube is the best place.
Okay.
But email unlikelyhiker@yahoo.com. Any questions? Like if anyone ever wants to reach out, doesn't matter what the question is. I've had complete strangers reach out to me. I'm more than happy to help anyone that has.
As long as the question is appropriate. You might want to put that. You might
I'll
put that
laugh at
disclaimer on it.
appropriate questions also.
You just won't get a response.
Right.
Probably not. No.
All right. Well, I'm going to put you back in the green room, but thank you so much. And we appreciate you coming on.
All right. Thanks.
Thanks. And Brian, where can people find you?
Local bar and grill, local buffet lately.
Yeah.
No, Carlson Adventures.
Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit.
No, it's not. Carlson Adventures on YouTube, Carlson_Adventures on Instagram, Carlson Adventures on TikTok, Carlson Adventures on Facebook, all the good spots, and the local buffet. So.
And what do you need more? You got subs now. What do you need?
Oh man, I just need some more watch time. I'm about 180 hours away, and it's going up every day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, if anybody wants to like bore yourself, you got some hours, or just want to give your laptop a workout, like throw my videos up on the playlist and let them play. Don't listen to me, I'll drive you nuts. But yeah, almost there, getting there. So if anybody wants a video or something like that, you know what I mean? So
yeah,
that's my hoot voice there. But
and
how about that big announcement?
Oh, go ahead.
Doing the AT this year.
Yeah,
will be joining me on the AT for a 7-day through the Smokies this year, coming soon. So excited
because you couldn't talk me into it.
I've tried this for 3 years, and you won't do it with me. Not even the Smokies.
Nope.
You're stubborn now. That's all you're being. It's stubborn.
Even all my energy
That's all right.
For the John Muir Trail. So
yeah, we'll see if you do that. If you wimp out.
Huh?
Oh, I said we'll see if you wimp out.
I'm not going to wimp out. I've already got permission to do it from my girl.
Permission. So. Listen, you don't need permission. Watch me get on Chris's good side.
Right.
The other Chris.
Right.
Mrs. Chris.
Right. All right. Well, and you guys can find me wherever. I don't care about YouTube anymore, but
I don't care about that hiking guy.
That hiking guy and all,
Adventure Away Pictures.
No, I've deleted that channel. That channel's gone. As well as Abundant Results, as well as
that's what I was going for, Abundant Results.
Look.
That's right. See, I told you, you don't need permission. She's gonna say, honey, I love you. Just go. Have a good time. Be safe.
Just go.
You play it out.
Okay. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in. And our next show is hopefully in 2 weeks. Before that, we've got a show with Jeremy on All Things Outdoors next Wednesday, and we're going to have Jason Wish on his live stream, and that would be good because we'll talk FKTs and TPUs and whatever. So remember to get out there and explore, and we will see you later.
We out of here.